Tuesday, everyone. We are so excited to be back after being away for about a week, and we have a really special guest today. We have Alyssa Poggioli with us, and we are going to be talking all about self care and making ourselves a priority. So, really juicy topic, really excited to get into this today. But before we get started, we're just going to quickly introduce ourselves. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with who we are, I am Jessica Melnick. I am the founder of the Anti Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group, and I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living their lives the way that they choose to, not the way that they have to. And Casey, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yep. I am Casey Kephart. I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. I am the founder and creator of the Feel Good Formula. I help women with all different types of autoimmune diseases get back to the activities they love to do, trash your symptoms, and get back to the life that you've always wanted and planned for yourself. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines.
Amazing.
Lucky.
I say that just for you, Alyssa, because you're in Chicagoland area.
Yes, I am. My name's what? What are you gonna say?
So please go ahead, Alyssa. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes. So I am located in the Chicagoland area. I am a certified health and life coach, a certified transformation coach, as well as a certified Thrive Global executive coach as of last week. So I work with working professionals, both men and women, to really help not only enhance their level of emotional intelligence, more from a leadership, communication, and relationship perspective, but alongside of that EQ work, there is a big, deep focus of self-care and self-responsibility in being able to really take ownership and accountability of who you're being and how you show up from a space so that you can have the life that you live more from a authentic, well-connected, living through values and integrity space while being able to have that work-life integration that so many of us struggle with, because balance and work life is not something that necessarily fits in the same sentence with me. So it's important that whether you're a family, a parent with a kid, it's not that life balance, it's not that work-life balance. Balance is something with gravity, it's in a yoga pose. So really blending that mindset and that belief work around, like, what does integration look like, feel like, from a space of integrity and authenticity and well-being, of course.
I love
I
that.
feel like every person needs you in their life. So
Oh, I'm an acquired taste. You'll find out more about that. So yes and no.
needs a person with your abilities in their life.
Yeah, and that's why I love what you ladies are up to, because every person will gain so much wealth and health from being with the right coach. And that's why there are so many of us out here, and we all have our different flavor and flair, and it's just so important that we're all utilizing one another to transform the way humanity lives and reestablish and re-ingrain what well-being and like health looks like.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the main reasons we wanted to talk to you today, Alyssa, because we know that this is your area of expertise, is how the heck do we make ourselves a priority? Because Casey and I work with, I would say, the majority are women, our clients, and we have such, I would consider it a culture and like how we were raised in North America as women, always putting everybody else first, you know, especially if you're a mom and a wife and all those things. And then we kind of put ourselves on the back burner until, you know, things get really, really bad. And because we're dealing with women that have serious health conditions, we know that in order to get better from that and to manage those diseases so they don't take over our lives and really, really reduce the quality of our lives, we know that we need to make ourselves a priority. And sometimes it's really hard to get women to believe that that's okay to do and have a mindset that this is a necessity for them in order to get better. So That's what I want to talk about a little bit more today. I know we've talked about when we're planning for this session, these different paradigms and beliefs that really hold us back. So if you don't mind, Alyssa, I'd love for you to get into those paradigms, and so that we can, people can kind of see a different perspective of, what is holding them back from really making themselves a priority so they can get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess for anyone who's watching that doesn't know what a paradigm is, because I sometimes get ahead of myself and like to think that everyone is in the coaching language. And so a paradigm, let's bring it back to elementary school. A paradigm is really a collection of beliefs and concepts that are either held by a group of people or theories or assumptions that we hold true. And so think of it as a paradigm is a blend of your neuroplasticity and your reticular activation. And so your neuroplasticity is the pattern or grain that creates the habit. It is like a river or a stream, but your reticular activating system is the lens in which you see that. And that is based on how you were brought up, the culture, the religion, the mindset, the awareness of yourself, your friends. And so a paradigm kind of takes both of them into play and blends it to be, okay, this is a collection of framework, beliefs, community, theories, education of how I am operating or how I show up as a human. And what is very difficult about paradigms, what's difficult and beautiful, is that they can change at any given moment if we choose to change them. First, we have to be aware that they're happening. And two, we have to take responsibility for the shitty impact, pardon my language, but like the shitty reality what it is hindering us from experiencing, and take true accountability. And I think that is what you were saying, Jessica, as a female, as a partner, a parent, a professional, we have all these hats. And so in all of those hats alone, you have different paradigms. You may be really confident as a parent because that's your newly engaged role. You may be an insecure partner now that like your family dynamic has changed and like you're trying to go back to work, but you have this new role that you're wanting to prioritize. And then as a professional, you can have this like, no matter what I do, it's never enough paradigm. So it's really important to encompass yourself as a whole and understand that, and there's usually like 7 paradigms, and I hope that we're going to put it in the chat after this, but I can read through them. There's 7 paradigms that we're all operating under one of them and or multiple of them. So the first one is no matter what I do, it's never enough. That's a paradigm. Number 2 is I'm not good enough. 3 is I don't deserve success. 4 is I'm not safe, which is a big one. 5 is I'm not valued. 6 is I'm alone or abandoned. And then 7 is I'm not worthy. And so paradigms can be very limiting, and very limiting, especially in the cases that for individuals with autoimmune diseases, like it's such a doom and gloom space that can be so discouraging and so disappointing that you may likely have more than one of these operating that is like keeping you just like sunk under water deeper than what you really need to be. If you're not aware and you're not willing to say, man, yeah, I really subconsciously operate under this disservicing thought or this paradigm, this pattern, I should change it. And so then you create a positive paradigm, which is essentially the opposite of that limiting paradigm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you think it'll make, okay, yeah, ask me more.
I was going to say, I'm just wondering if we can kind of come up with an example for the audience of how we can I guess, become aware of one of our paradigms or limiting beliefs that are keeping us down. So, like, for example, I know in our community, a big thing is, taking the time to invest in ourselves to get better, and also in just investing the money in order to get health, to get better. That's a big one too.
Mhm.
I find that women are really, and I'm myself too, reluctant to invest in myself. And I think sometimes in the past for me, it's been like, well, what if I don't succeed? Then is that money going to go down the drain? Or, oh, well, there's so many better things I could spend money on, or things that are more important that I should spend this money on instead of, this program or this coaching that I need in order to help me feel better or help me be more successful. So I'm just wondering if we can kind of take one of those limiting beliefs that we see a lot of the times, and if you could give us an example of, Alyssa, about how we even begin to become aware of that and reframe that.
I love that, because in that statement, I if I was taking notes, I would have taken down a few things. And the first is that the question, the first thing is to definitely question the integrity or the truth in what you're thinking. So you just said, I'm not going to be, is it really going to work, or am I going to be successful at it? So that goes to the paradigm of like, I don't deserve success, or I'm not successful. If you operate and believe and everything ingrained from you is coming from the space of I am successful, if you came into a call where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling, I want support, and you're operating from the soul paradigm, that positive paradigm of I am successful, what would be different in having that conversation? Would you still have that second guessing or that hesitation?
Right.
No, because I would believe that it'd be like, yeah, maybe it's going to be hard, but I have the support now, and they're going to help me figure this out.
Well, and you're identifying already as successful. So the limiting paradigm is like either not deserving success or unable to be successful. So when you strip the condition, even success is a big thing. Like in the professional world, you can say, I'm not going to be successful until I reach X role or X position.
Mhm.
In the parenting role, I'm not going to be successful unless my kid gets X A's or grades or goes to this. In the personal health, I'm not going to be successful unless I get to this weight or I feel this good for this long. Like that is conditional. And every time, and we automatically do that as humans, which like deprives us from actually being able to get to the goal. Because when you identify with success, there's no external validation that you need because you're identifying with it as successful. It's going to happen. Another thing you said is I should be spending my money on other things or being more useful. Is that true that the things are going to be more important or more useful? Not necessarily. So that's another thing. Is this true? Another thing is the shoulds. The should, need to, have to, eliminate them from your vocabulary. That language patterning alone exacerbates limiting paradigms to keep you stuck. So you don't have to, you get to. I don't need to, I would like to. I should, no, I could. When we really start to hone that awareness in of like, in what path is my language pattern putting me in? And it's one of two, an opportunity or an obligation.
Mhm.
When we start essentially leading ourselves, I don't want to say forth, but leading ourselves to like, what is the opportunity in this? Or like, what is the opportunity? You're going to feel that expansion. And then that's when that positive paradigm can actually like root itself, and then you can create that new stream or river. That's where the neuroplasticity really happens. But like, you get to challenge your thoughts of what it is you're thinking, how is it you're impacting. So an example of this too is if we actually use this example of I'm not going to be successful to I am successful. If you use that paradigm and say it's a random Tuesday morning and you're having like a crappy thought that's putting you back into the despair space,
Mhm.
talk to yourself. You know what, Alyssa? Like you're gonna start to, like you are successful. You're changing your paradigm or creating your neuroplasticity. Like I am successful. Say it 3 times. I am successful. I am successful. I am successful. And then look for ways, validate yourself in the last 24 hours. What have I been successful with? How have I been successful? So this can be applied to the like, I'm not valued, right? Change it to I am valued, and then find that data to validate how you are valued or how you are valuable.
Mhm.
It's not going to come easy overnight and just happen. Like we have to do the work to coach ourselves through this and like educate and create the neuroplasticity.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that's a really great action task too for anybody listening to this now or on the replay is be aware of your thoughts today, tomorrow, and just question them and ask yourself if that's the truth or if that's just something that you've been saying to yourself over and over and over again subconsciously, not even realizing that that's no longer your truth at all.
Well,
I'm serious.
and it sounds super simple, but it's not. And
Right.
say you get to a space where you're thinking a thought and you're like, is that true? Like is and truth, by the way, is like you can find the answer in a book. Like there's scientific data. So that's going to be the real kicker of like letting you know that 99% of the things you think are not true. And so then taking it one step further of like when I choose to think this thought, like it makes me feel blank.
Mhm.
And if that thought is like belittled, disempowered, angry, frustrated, lonely, like you get to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know, what is the intention behind choosing to think a thought that literally makes me feel X, Y, and Z? What is that intention? And maybe sometimes it's because you want to be shameful to yourself, or other times you want to be judgmental, or other times you want to be a victim versus a victor. Like, that's okay. But then also because you're calling out the fact that this is not true and that you're choosing to think this thought that's having a disempowering impact, reframe it, flip
Mhm.
it, choose to think something different.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think part of it is we're so unaware of our own thoughts because I think I look at them as like subconscious and automatic, just
Yes.
the way that because it like you said, it's part of like our upbringing, our culture, our religion, like all the things all
Yeah.
combined that just it's just the way that we think, it's the way that we do, and you don't even think twice about it half the time. And I know for myself in the last couple of years, because I do get coaching because I think it's super important. Just even realizing, like, oh my gosh, like I've been thinking this all along and I wasn't even aware. Well, no wonder I feel like crap about this, that, and the other thing. No wonder it's been holding me back. And yeah, I just think that just becoming aware is so, so important. And I'm curious, like, how do you help people become aware of like their thinking and how it's holding them back? Like anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So meditation is great, even if it's like through the Calm app or the Insight Timer, or if it's just like literally sitting in stillness with a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and you just write down what it is you're thinking. Like the more we can slow down and settle, the more aware we can become. And so meditation is a great way. Also, though, journaling. Like I have tons of clients that find a lot of success in gratitude journaling. So they wake up, they write, and because I'm in the EQ world, I have a wheel of primary, secondary, and tertiary emotions. So they have this emotions wheel, like 55 emotions. Point out how you're feeling. What are the 3 things you are grateful for? And what belief are you choosing to identify with today? Like, who are you choosing to identify as? And that can sometimes, or what is your intention for the day? Sometimes it's going to be present. Other times it's going to be patient. Sometimes it might be to be strong. So, like, even just like having that check-in of like, how do I want to show up today? Or like, what intention do I want to put out into the world and the energy of who it is I'm being? And then that's it. And then when you go to bed, write down the 3 things that you're grateful for, you're bragging about, your big wins. Again, what are you feeling? And what are you identifying as?
Yeah.
Like based on how your day, like who did you show up as? I think that is the really the only, and coaching and therapy, obviously. Like I have a therapist that I go to with my partner every 6 weeks for it's our relationship church. I have my own coaches that I do weekly calls with. So it's like the more conversations you can have with someone that's like detached from your inner dialogue is like there's no number on what that's worth.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I love that. And Casey, interrupt me at any point. I don't want to take over the conversation, but it makes me think of like how our clients, like you said, in the morning, it's like, who do I want to be today? Like, how do I want to show up? And I think that like a lot of our clients come to us because they are in a position where they aren't living the way they want to live. They are not the person who they want to be because they are sick. They're not well. Their body is not functioning the way that they want it to. And really taking the time to think about that. Like, what do I actually want to be able to do that I can't right now? And how, if I'm able to physically get myself healthier, how is that going to affect the person that I show up as and who I can be for myself and for my loved ones? And I think sometimes the first time people even get to think about that is on a call with us when they're in our community kind of for a while. And then sometimes people will come to a call and see if they want to work with us. And we ask some of those questions, like, why is this important? Why now? And I think a lot of times people have never really, they don't really take the time or just, like you said, just slow down and really think about that.
Well, and it's scary. When we think about creating change, especially whether it's physical, relational, or neurological, like 80% of change is mindset, 20% is mechanics. And so, especially when it's your health and it's such a frustrating space to be in, there is that painful toggle of like, how bad is it gonna have to get until I actually allow myself to have support. It's the same thing in corporate America with people and burnout and like stress. They allow themselves to get so far down the line that they're diagnosed with something. But I say this because there's also that other component of identifying as your condition. And if there's anything that I make very clear in the context of paradigms, neuroplasticity, and like being your beautiful self, is that you are not your condition. You are a human being that has a condition that, yes, it may feel like it takes over physically, mentally, and emotionally, but it is not who you are. It may impact how you show up, which then again, because you are a beautiful individual, you get to give yourself patience, compassion, understanding. You get to give yourself the gift of having support and accountability. But be mindful of like, how are you identifying in close proximity to your actual experience of life?
I love that. I think that's a great reminder because sometimes we're so caught up in our autoimmune disease because that dictates sometimes our life and our relationships, our work, our fun, everything, and that we just become our disease and we forget who we really are. I love how you said that.
And it's one of those things that this life is happening. It's happening for you. Like, as messed up as it seems, like an autoimmune disease, yes, is a terrible experience often, and it is a condition. But in the midst of it all, it happens as part of life and for you. It's not happening to you. Like even that mindset frame of like,
Yeah.
it is an opportunity to get to connect to myself, to really allow myself to like learn about myself, to heal myself. Like there is a sick trick in opportunity of that experience. But your mindset, that 80% psychology, 20% mechanics, that is where the neuroplasticity and that your thoughts and your beliefs are either making or breaking your experience right now.
100%. And I think Jessica and I can both agree on this, that both of us having an autoimmune disease has led us to our businesses. That was our opportunity because of our autoimmune disease. It was an opportunity for Jessica and I to meet. We never would have met if we both didn't have an autoimmune disease and decided to do our business. It was an opportunity to help other people. So if you look at it that way, that's exactly what Alyssa's saying. Like, what are you getting out? What positive things are you getting out of having your autoimmune disease symptoms or disease in general? Are you getting closer to your partner? Go ahead, Alyssa.
Well, so, and if you're not, right, like here you have beautiful resources. And so if you don't choose to get help, really taking a step back and like, what does that reveal to you about you? Like that in and of itself, like the awareness to be like, oh my God, I feel like shit, my life sucks. This condition is impacting my work, my relationship, like my self-identity, my confidence, my all of that. And so if you then continue to just like live every day without creating a change or investing in yourself or offering to like get support, like that in and of itself reveals something to you about you. And that is likely a deep limiting paradigm of that you're not worthy, you don't love yourself, you're not going to be like, I mean, this goes deep. I know we're getting on time, but I had to say that check in for people.
Yeah. When we first talked, Alyssa, that was probably the first thing you said to me about like, what does it say about you if you don't prioritize yourself, if you don't prioritize your health? Like it's saying all of the things about you and nobody else, because this is like victim mode. This is your choice to do something about, and you're not respecting yourself or and you can say it better than I can, but I love that you put it in that direction to make you look inside of you instead of just what external things can we blame it on.
Yeah. Well, and women are so much more. It's interesting. Like in the health field, men are way worse at like going to the doctor, getting things checked. Like they're terrible with anything like health or self care related. But when it comes time to investing in themselves, it's like, boom, yeah, no, fine. With women, it's opposite. Like we're more apt to go get annual checkups, do this, make sure everyone else is taken care of. But when it comes to investing in ourselves, it's like there's this big block. And whether that's because of like a household or a professional status or a belief, like there's just also that blockade that's also a reason why I said that, because where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, money gets to essentially flow. But if you're not allowing that in that aspect of your life, like there's likely deep limiting paradigms around worth and value and success that get to be addressed.
Yeah. Love that.
Love that.
I think that's it for today. We're at 30 minutes. Do we have anything else to say?
No, I think that was great. I think you really clearly answered all of our questions, Alyssa. And it's just great food for thought for our community. Because like I said, I know that a lot of our community has a really hard time making themselves a priority. And I know for me, it's my priority to try to help them make themselves a priority. and so that they can get better. It's so, so important. So thank you so much for coming
Thank
today,
you.
Alyssa, and talking with us and giving us a new, fresh perspective. Like Casey said, we can't say it as good as you say
Yeah.
it. Such a way of explaining it that is so helpful. And I think just such a fresh perspective that most people are not familiar with. So thank you.
Alyssa,
Absolutely.
I'm going to drop your socials in the chat as well, but on video, do you want to say where people can reach you?
I have a website, but I'm on all platforms. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I do weekly videos on EQ and like self-awareness stuff on YouTube if you want to kind of like be held accountable and this kind of stuff. But really, yeah, those are my spots.
Okay, awesome. So everybody look in the chat. Her stuff will be there, her handles. And that's it. I hope to see you later and come back on and talk about more deep matters that matter.
Nice. Mic drop. Boom.
You're right.
Love it.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.